Chapter 9. The Companions. Freddie's grin was visible in the wand glow. "Are you going to tuck me in?" "Only if you want me to tuck your face in with a pillow," Sophie hissed. "Ooh, passive-aggressive," Freddie scolded. "I think it was just aggressive, Fredster," Lydia corrected. "So shut up and go to sleep." "I'm not sleepy, though," he moaned. "Can you tell me a story?" "The rest of your dorm will be waking up in a couple of hours," Sophie said. "I need Lydia to take me to mine before then." "You are sleepy, Freddie," Lydia said. Freddie fell asleep. "That's a bit naughty, Lids," Sophie hissed. "Scary, too." "I took his sleepiness away back at the rectory. All I've done is give it back. Well, some of it. Need to get up for breakfast." Sophie's face was neither convinced nor happy. I know, Lydia conceded. "I think we're going to have to do a lot of things we don't like. Things that are going to be a lot worse. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do those things to friends. Sorry." Sophie held Lydia's hand. "It's okay. You've been through a lot, babe." They hugged. "And if I had that power," Sophie confessed, "there are loads of times I would have been tempted to shut Freddie up." Lydia sniggered, then dropped Sophie off in the Gryffindor girls' dormitory. Xander jumped up into Freddie's lap. Freddie sat back in his armchair and stroked the cat's head. Xander purred. Freddie looked around the joint common room to make sure that nobody was close enough to overhear. "So, babes," he said, turning to Lydia, "have you decided what to do about the Companions of Doom?" "The what?" Sophie demanded. "Just a little name I've made up for us," Freddie grinned. "You're supposed to be the positive one, Freddie," Lydia complained. "Doom sounds a bit dark, don't you think?" Freddie shook his head. No, you don't get it. I'm being ironic, because we're going to save the world. So really, I mean the opposite of doom, or maybe somebody else's doom." Lydia and Sophie gave Freddie a look, which made him shuffle in his seat. Xander jumped down. "Okay," Freddie said. "How about the League of Rainbows, Unicorns, and Little Fluffy Bunnies?" "How about you shut up, just this once, and let Lids tell us her plans?" Sophie suggested. Freddie held up his hands. "That's exactly what I was asking you to do. Why are you picking on me?" "Because we love you, Freddie," Sophie said. "And you're such an easy target. So, Lydia?" Lydia sighed, and her face became stern and businesslike. "I think I have to ask Oddie," she began. "Oddie?" Sophie said. "Does Oddie seem like a warrior to you?" Lydia gave a wry smile. "Oddie's the cleverest person we know, except for Ambrose, perhaps." "Yow," Xander protested. "Xander, you're very stylish and gorgeous, but you're not a great intellect by normal standards," Lydia said. "Xander countered. Freddie tutted. "What he's saying is that he thinks Oddie's a fabulous idea. Why do you always assume boys are all egotists?" Sophie and Lydia looked at each other. Experience, they both said. Freddie shook his head, but smiled. "So Oddie, that means Dean as well," Freddie explained. Lydia nodded. "Yeah, Dean's better than most people think. He's almost always in the top 3 in class." "After you and Oddie, I bet," Sophie said. "Whatever," Lydia said. "I'm happy with Dean and Oddie, if we can get them. The other one I'd like to ask is Dev Perek." "Good idea," Sophie said. "Dev is so good at every subject, and Oddie really gets on with him." "Everyone you're asking is really clever," Freddie pointed out. "What's wrong with that?" Sophie asked. "Teams work better than individuals because they can have a bigger range of skills," Freddie pointed out. Lydia pulled her face. That's Ambrose talking, isn't it? Nah, Freddie said. It was me. Didn't you see my lips moving? I mean, Lydia began. Yeah, all right then, Freddie admitted. Might have said something like that. But it's true. So who do you suggest? Lydia asked. Either of you? I was thinking Shona, Freddie said. Sophie frowned. Shona's really clever too. I know, Freddie said, and that's not a problem. But Shona's observant as well, and she's kind and loyal. But does she have the killer instinct? Sophie said. Freddie smiled. No, she has the healer's instinct. And do I look like a killer? Do any of us have this stupid killer instinct? Yes, Lydia stated. There was a long moment of silence. Just because you had to, Sophie said, doesn't mean it's built into you. Lydia looked at her. Doesn't it? Isn't what you do without thinking about it exactly what instinct is? Sophie looked down. Well, yeah, I suppose. But you had to do it, Freddie said. Your instinct was to save me. I've been thinking, Lydia began. Freddie threw up his hands. Well, there's your mistake, babes. When has thinking ever helped? Don't mess with things you know nothing about, Fredster, Sophie warned. Ha ha, Freddie said dryly. And the way it seems to me, Lydia continued, is that Ambrose chose me because he knew I could kill. He knew that when it came to it, I wouldn't hesitate. Because you have the instinct to love, Freddie said. And your instinct to save the ones you love. That's your mission. That's the task ahead of us, to save. Our job is to save the world we love. And that's why he chose you. Lydia gave him a stubborn frown. I could have pushed that man away. Sent him to another country, anything. But I chose to kill him. Freddie's not saying we wanted to kill, Sophie said. He's saying what it is that makes us special. You need a team, companions for this task. What you have that will make people follow you, it's not a killer instinct. Like Freddie says, it's love. Love, said Lydia, like she was tasting the word. Love's too fragile. So is water, Freddie said. So is wind. Do you think a tidal wave or a hurricane is weak? Lydia looked at him, then smiled. No. Bloody hell, Freddie, it turns out you're clever after all. Freddie grinned. Did you ever doubt it, babes? Lydia nodded. Yeah. Hell yeah, Sophie clarified. But you're right, Lydia continued. I'll ask Shona. Anyone else you'd like to suggest? Sophie raised a hand to shoulder level. We might need someone with a bit of muscle. Hopefully we'll have Dean, Freddie said. The team might need more, Sophie said. How about Larkin? He's used to working together with Dean, as beaters on the Quidditch team. Lydia frowned. Not a terrible suggestion, but I'm worried we're going to end up with nearly all Ravenclaws and all the same year. I was thinking about asking Fenny. My cuz, said Freddie. She's not going to like you distracting her for her NAWTs. Lydia gave him a wry smile. She might get more than distracted if the Grey Watcher wins. I won't ask her if you don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a brilliant idea, Freddie grinned. Fenny's cool. Sophie raised her hand again. Do you think we need another Hufflepuff? It would make sense, said Lydia. You're going to tell me that Teddy's out, aren't you? Freddie asked. Lydia shook her head. He's not completely out. I'd rather get someone else. But if I can't, then Teddy has his metamorph ability. I've no idea how that might be useful, but hey. Freddie nodded. Okay. How about Christy Wood? Lucas Wood's twin sister, Sophie asked. Why her? I've never seen anyone with quicker reactions, Freddie said. They tried to get her on our Quidditch team as a seeker, but she's not competitive. Not in that way, anyway. In what way, then? Lydia asked. I think she likes to challenge herself rather than compete against others, Freddie explained. You know, like a Hufflepuff. What's she like, apart from being a Hufflepuff? Sophie asked. Freddie raised his eyebrows. Well, pretty much the opposite of Lucas. He's really pushy, and she's so laid back she needs, like, castor on her elbows. What? Sophie and Lydia said together. You know, Freddie protested. So laid back that she's lying down with her elbows on the floor as she's walking along, so she needs little wheels on them to move, little elbow trolleys. I may be exaggerating a bit. So, is he going then? Lydia translated. Yeah, if you want to be boring about it, Freddie conceded. What's her wand work like? Sophie asked. She's pretty good at everything, Freddie said. Especially Dada, you know, defence and duelling, because she's so fast, like I mentioned. Seems odd that she's laid back, but really fast, Lydia said. Well, she's not asleep or anything, Freddie explained. She just doesn't worry about stuff. Lucas always seems to be fussing about things. Christie's never like that. She just takes everything as it comes. Unflappable, I suppose, which might be a good thing. And she's lovely. Sophie grinned. A Hufflepuff isn't always fussing, you say? Can't imagine what that would be like. Someone steady who's fast and good against dark arts. Sounds like someone we need, Lydia said. I'll ask her. Will you help me, Freddie? Anything for you, babes, Freddie confirmed. How many more do we need? Asked Sophie. Lydia huffed. Ambrose said we need at least 5, not including the 3 of us. We have 5 that we've suggested, plus Teddy in reserve. I'd like a few more. I think I'm going to find that some of them are not going to fit in and some are not going to want to join us. How about a Slytherin? Freddie suggested. Never discount someone because they're different. Lydia scowled. Thank you, Ambrose Fortescue. I hadn't forgotten Slytherin. Suggestions? Colin Moody? Freddie ventured. Seems a decent guy. Lydia nodded. Draco thinks a lot of him. It's always been the best thing about the Slytherin Quidditch team. But he's a captain, and a boy, and 3 years older than us, Sophie pointed out. He might try to take charge. He'll be out of the luck then, won't he? Freddie grinned. Any other Slytherin options? Lydia asked. Devin Fawcett? Sophie suggested. He's smart, good at Quidditch tactics, good at wizard's chess as well. He's always been friendly off the pitch. Don't you know anyone who isn't on a Quidditch team, Soph? Freddie joked. Anyway, Tappy Fawcett's a bit of a mouth on a stick. He likes to argue with everyone about everything. I mean, he's a nice enough lad. I'm worried what will happen if we need to make quick decisions, which we probably will. Lydia gave him a wry smile. I'll bear him in mind. Maybe interview him. Freddie frowned. Look, well, how about Corbin Zabini? The 3 of them sat in silent contemplation for a long moment. A couple of years ago, Lydia said, I'd have laughed at that. Since he fell out with Bulstrode, though, he's been all right. He's certainly clever enough. Didn't you say the Zabinis were Death Eaters? Asked a horrified Sophie. Lydia sat forwards and spoke in a soft tone. There was one, but Corbin's not like that. He can't stand Kevin Bulstrode and all his pureblood nonsense. He's really turned into one of Draco's reformers. Corbin's another possibility. He's always dead friendly with me, Freddie added. I think he only started it to wind up Bulstrode, but we get on great now. He'd be really pleased if you spoke to him, Lids. He's dead embarrassed that he used to pick on us when we were firsties. He always seems devious to me, Sophie warned. Lydia sat back. That might be a skill we'll need,